Hello, everyone. Welcome back to spring semester. We're excited to have another great semester of math with you. And we wanted to give you some tools and maybe some ideas about how you can stay a little more organized this semester um, so you can be successful. The first thing I recommend you take a look at is your email settings. So, from the teacher's perspective, we might reach out to you via an email or via Student Square, which should then send you an email asking you to come review a topic with us, or maybe you need to make up an assessment. It's really important that you're able to see these messages from your teachers and respond to them so that we can help you. Now, it is kind of difficult. Like if you look at all of these emails, there's a ton of Google Classroom notifications that are kind of clogging up the inbox. And some days it probably feels like it's a wave after wave of emails from Google Classroom. So there are a few things that you can do to help with this. One of them is changing the settings of your inbox so that all of those notifications are automatically put in a separate folder. The way to do this is to click that gear up at the top um, where it says settings. So you've got the search bar, the question mark, which is if you have help, if you need help, and then you've got settings right here. So we're going to click settings, and then I'm going to click see all settings. There are a lot of ways you can customize your inbox and you can play around with that. But the thing that I think will help the most with all those Google Classroom notifications is right here under inbox. So your default setting is just primary. This is where everything goes. If you add in updates, and I would probably include forums here, you can scroll down to the bottom and click Save Changes. And now when you go back to your inbox, all of a sudden you only have the email that's actually from your teacher. So that was a direct email from the teacher to this student. And now it's the only thing showing up in the inbox. Everything else was a notification from Google Classroom. If you want to keep track of those notifications, they're just hanging out here under updates. So it won't clog up your inbox. You can still find everything in your email, right? You're still getting those notifications, but it will help you see when people are trying to reach you directly. So that's one way that you can organize your inbox so that you can see what's important. Another setting you can change is actually in Google Classroom. So we're going to go to Google Classroom, and I just made a bunch of fake classes. Normally you'll have different teachers for each class, right? So this is your main page for Google Classroom. And if you don't want to get a notification for absolutely everything that a teacher posts, click up here on those three horizontal lines. And then down at the bottom here where it says settings, you can actually change your notification settings. So let's do that. I do recommend that you leave the general receive email notifications on. This will be important for things like private comments from your teachers on assignments. So you want to make sure to have some of those, probably. But maybe you don't need to see every slide that's posted. Maybe you don't need an email about that because often your teachers, it will be in Google Classroom and your teachers will probably be telling you in class, like, okay, this is the assignment. Um, you can also uncheck returned work and grades from your teachers. At least for math and for a lot of our classes, we use Aries, as our grade book. So it's okay if you're making it a habit to check Aries, but not necessarily your Google Classroom grades. Invitations to join classes as a student, you probably want to leave that in case you join a new class, you want to notice that. And then due date reminders for your work, that's really up to you. If that's something that's going to help you, and if you're going to check that updates tab on a regular basis, go ahead and leave that. If you have other ways of keeping track of due dates, you can uncheck that. So again, that's up to you. Cool. So that's one way to sort of manage and maybe mitigate some of the email onslaughts that you're getting during the school day. Another thing you want to think about in Google Classroom is the options you have for helping you stay on track. A lot of you probably know about the to-dos. What's nice about this view is it kind of organizes it for you. So no due date. Hopefully your teachers are giving due dates on assignments so that you know what you need to be working on and you can prioritize it. But then you can also look at what's happening this week, which is important. But you can also see what's happening next week and farther in the future, right? So there's nothing right now scheduled for farther in the future. But this is a good way to plan for larger projects, right? If you have a paper coming up, right? This would be a history paper. You might need more than just a day to work on that. You might want to work on it in pieces over several days. So this will help you say, oh, that's coming up. It's not due tomorrow, but I can start working on it now so that I don't have such a major assignment to do all at the last minute. The other nice thing you can do in your to-dos is you can sort it by class. Here, we've got physical education. So if I go to physical education, it'll show me the 2 assignments that are coming up due. And it lists their due dates as well, right? So that first one is due Wednesday, the second one is due Friday. You can also review completed assignments. And again, you can sort that by class or just see it all at once. And you can also see your missing assignments. Ideally, you don't have any of these, but it's again a good thing to keep track of. So that's a list view of your assignments coming up. I actually really like seeing my work that's due on a calendar. So if you click these 3 bars at the top, again, right underneath classes, there's an option that says calendar. If you click on that, it will show you by day what's due. So right now on my calendar, I've got that 20 jumping jacks for phys ed. That's on Wednesday, and there's no time associated with it. So as long as I turn it in at some point on Wednesday, I'm good. If you notice the assignment on the 7th, the scientific method quiz, well, that says it's due at 9:45 a.m. So there's a specific due date for that. As you have more assignments due on the same day, the ones with no specific time will show up at the top. And then the ones with specific time will order themselves by what time they're due on that day. Again, you can sort this by class. And this is also another place to kind of look ahead, see, oh, I've got something coming up next Friday. This might also help you notice when you have more assignments due or fewer assignments due. So you can kind of gauge when you have some extra time to either study or maybe that's a good day for you to go to office hours. It just lets you see a picture of what's coming up for you. So again, you have 2 great places in Google Classroom to keep track of your assignments. One of them is here under To Do, and that gives you a list that you can do. You can sort by all classes or by individual classes. The other place you can look is this calendar, and that will give you kind of your week at a glance. And so see a scheduled assignment just popped up. What is your activity goal for this week? So those are some things you can do in Google Classroom to help you stay organized. Last but not least, this is just a suggestion, just an idea. We have this program called Google Keep. So you can access that from your inbox. If you click on the 9-dot square over here, where it says Google Apps, and you scroll down a little bit, one of your tools here is Google Keep. So you can click that and it'll open a tab. I should close that one. This is a great place to keep track of notes, maybe to-dos, and it syncs with a Google Keep tab in your Gmail as well, in your email inbox, so that you can make like a little daily to-dos list or something. So let's say that we're in math class, you took some notes on math, and maybe you want to call this you can say like chapter 5 notes or notes on linear and exponential equations, right? That's something we've been studying, and so that's my title. And then maybe, let's see if I can make that a little bigger for you. Maybe you're someone who likes to take your notes by typing. So you could say like y equals mx plus b, and that's our linear equation, and so on and so forth. Or maybe you're someone who prefers to take your notes by hand. You can do that and then add an image. And then you can just have, it's kind of like a notebook that you don't have to keep track of. So you can take your notes on, any piece of paper and then plop it into Google Keep here, and then it's all in one place. So if you lose that piece of paper that you wrote your notes down on, that's okay because you still have it here in Google Keep. You can continue adding, typed notes to it. There is an option to do like a drawing, so you can handwrite. That's not always the easiest option on your computer, so do that, use that as you want to. You can click down at the bottom here and add a collaborator. So if like you and a friend want to share your notes, or you have questions and want to work on something together, you can do that. And then once you click close, it sort of minimizes it so you can see, okay, I have this note, but it's not taking up my whole screen. You can also create labels here under edit labels. And maybe you just want a notebook on like math class overall. Or maybe you want notes on writing equations. So then you can add a label to your note, and you can say, oh, this is under writing equations. So let's say you have a standard coming up. If you've tagged your notes on writing equations, you would just click here and it would show you only the things with that label. This might be helpful if you decide you want to use Google Keep for multiple classes. You can just label them, math, history, English, whatever. And then you can see all of your notes for English in one place or all of your notes for math in one place. Another place you can use Google Keep is, like I said, actually in your inbox. So right here on the sidebar, you've got your calendar, and then under here you've got Keep. So it'll store your notes there, but you can also take notes straight from your inbox. So if you got an email from your math teacher and you need to make up a standard, you can say standard retake, say like study notes for writing equations. Maybe you also want to uh, uh, meet with teacher during office hours, right? So you can give yourself a sort of guide for what you want to do while you've got the email open, right? So here's an email. Hey, you missed some standards. Now I'm scheduling that. And if you open it in Keep, it'll just take you to more options. And again, you can set dates for reminders, you can add drawings, you can add checkboxes. So it's a pretty flexible tool. You can also make lists. So lists allow you to check things off. We're going to say daily tasks. I would include things like check your email, check Google Classroom, and maybe check Aries. Or maybe you don't want to check Aries daily. Maybe you do that like once a week or something. So again, that hangs out. You can pin it so that it's at the top. And then if you go to Google Keep, everything is still housed here. So you can find a bunch of different things here. You've got your pinned work up here, so maybe that's your weekly tasks, your daily tasks. You could choose to pin that as well. And then when you check them off, well, at the end of the week or at the end of the day, you can just uncheck them. So you don't have to recreate the list each time. But it will help you keep track of what do I need to do each day, each week, to make sure that I am staying on track with my work and that I will be successful. So hopefully this was helpful and gave you some ideas. We'll take a few minutes during our asynchronous work today to think about which of these tools you think you're going to try, and how that might help you be more successful this semester. All right, have a good one.